Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. BoomStick and Friends. And folks, we have breaking news that happened around 2 o'clock. And I know because, well, I did an impromptu podcast to kind of hang out with you guys and gals for about 38 minutes to kind of talk about the FTC finally losing their bid to break up ABK. We all knew it was an impossible thing. We all knew and have said multiple times that there has been millions upon millions of dollars of wasted taxpayer money for a frivolous lawsuit on something that the entire planet has approved other than here in the States. And while they were shown the door, we're going to get into that. Again, we're not going to get into the minutia of why they lost or anything like that. Where we're going to have some fun is where does Xbox shop next? Because we know that they are sitting on $90 billion in cash. They are going to continue to add studios. They're going to add developers. But the question is, and this will be the big question, will they add a publisher? Now, I don't know if anything happens this year because this obviously just got done, but they've been waiting for a while to make some moves. And now it seems like, well, the shackles have been removed. But that's not the only story, folks. And again, many people reported on it, but the story that we're using here today is by Dominic Preston of TheVerge.com, and basically talks about the Microsoft and Asus Xbox handheld photos have leaked. And quite frankly, the thing looks filthy, but that's here nor there. We don't care what it looks like in regards to, they probably should have polished it up before taking a picture of it. But well, the handheld, I mean, me and Hargeet were literally just talking. I was like, God, that kind of feels like a controlled leak a little bit. And we've been waiting since GDC, if this thing was going to be announced. And we're going to
they're saying something's wrong with your mic. I don't know if you have the wrong mic selected or.
Let me see. They have to change it again. They changed it again. Bloody. Back, ladies and gentlemen. Right. Thank you so much.
There we go. Much better.
I just got, shame on me. I got another update, and well, there you go. It changed it. I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, chat, for letting me know about my terrible microphone. CK Sketch in the chat said there he is. Thank you so much. But listen.
Now they're saying it might have frozen. Hopefully it didn't die.
It says live. Let me check on YouTube. Hold on just a second. Why are we having
looks
these problems
okay
tonight?
They might need to refresh, but it looks okay. I'm looking at the stream.
Yeah, it looks okay from my end.
Yeah. So if somebody's still seeing that, just try to refresh and see if it comes back to life for you.
Yeah. Now again, if you're seeing that it's a stop motion, I mean that's obviously the game on the screen has that stop motion animation. I just checked on YouTube. It seems to be fine. But Hargeet, listen, we got a lot to get into, brother. How are you feeling?
Yeah, good. And we'll probably talk about this later as well. But I just want to bring up again that we will
get into
party.
That. Yes.
And for anybody who wants to sign up, communityfanfest.com, go sign up. For those in the U.S., we have a watch party for the June showcase in L.A. in person. Boom will be there. Asante will be there. I will, of course, be there because I'm part of the community putting this together. So, but yeah, anybody wants to join, please enter the raffle. We're gonna just random select, and hopefully you'll be able to join us. So, join away.
Well, yeah, we're gonna break it down because again, there's a lot to get into. That is in fact happening in a couple of weeks. I'm very excited for it. Originally, I had canceled my plans. I was talked off the ledge, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, I fell. Thanks to Asante, who's here with us today. Asante, thank you, sir, for talking me off the ledge rather than back in on it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm happy. And I was talked off the ledge by Hargeet, so that this is what happened. This is basically what happened. But yes, we're back. We're back on. We're still going. I'm excited, and I hear it's going to be a quite an experience. So I hope more people check it out. The link is in the chat. I just put it in the chat.
Nice,
Click on that link and go join it.
Yeah, you know what? Again, there are. We'll let Hargeet break it down a little bit later, but they are raffling off seats. It's a again it's going to be randomly picked how Xbox used to do it, and obviously towards the what we'll do is we'll kind of pause the show in the middle and kind of let Hargeet give you all the the deets, as the kids like to say, because again it is something special. It's by the fans for the fans, and like spearheading this event is Hargeet Chani, Ben Kenobi, and several others. And it's going to be a lot of fun. It looks like it's going to be a real magical time. Also, Ains from Seasons Gaming is a big part of what's going on. And of course, I've talked about Ains and his podcast before. Amazing human being and a great community member. This is going to be a lot of fun. So if you're going to be in the LA area for either Summer Games Fest or IGN Live or everything above, reach out and see if we can, we can all meet up and hang out, because I'm going to be there. Kay's going to be there. Hargeet's going to be there, and a bunch of people. All of the Iron Lords are going as well. It's going to be a big, big party, and we hope that you can join us there. But, Kay Asante, how you feeling, brother?
Not bad, man. Not bad. Actually, you know what? I have no excuses. I am a minute late because I am packing for PAX.
Oh, that's right. That's this weekend. You're going to get...
Literally, I have
tomorrow,
an Uber.
Right? Tomorrow.
I have an Uber coming to get me at 4 a.m. I am packing for PAX right now.
Oh, man. All right. That's going to be fun. I've been to three or four. And this before I was into content creation. Now I should be going. I haven't gone. I'm going next year for sure, folks. Because again, I could get in as press because of the channel, which I intend to do. But yeah, PAX East, if you've never been to it, folks, and you are you're into gaming, it really is a fan event. It's probably one of my favorite events I've been to in a long, long time, and it's been a couple of years. But Boston is
y'all should come. Y'all should come find me. I'll be walking the halls Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
There you go.
On Saturday and Sunday, it'd be the dynamic duo, myself and Everborn. We'll be out there doing the thing, and maybe I'll turn on the camera, do some live streams. It'll be fun.
Yeah, and as you should, sir. Especially if you're playing some of those games. There's a lot of indies over there. It's actually one of the first places I played Castle Crashers.
Oh wow! That's
when
awesome.
I went, it was pretty cool. It was a long ass line for sure, but it was fun nonetheless. Certainly something I remember. And one of the small memories, even when he was a normal person, is the guy that runs the Borderlands. What's his name?
Randy Pitchford.
Yes, I met Randy Pitchford before he was into Magic, and this was actually at the launch. I know people can be like, boo, but remember the Aliens game that everyone hated? Well, I got it behind the scenes look into it, but it wasn't just seeing it. The tank from Aliens was there, and they had set it up where we sat in the tank and we watched the trailer. Pretty dope, to be honest with you. I don't know if I have pictures, but that was pretty good. And I got a chance to talk to Randy Pitchford. And like I said, that was when he was, not a magician. So I don't know what happened, but the Nancy Music 72 says Randy is weird. Yeah, he kind of is. Yeah, he kind of is. But listen, gentlemen, we got to get right into the FTC losing. This makes me smile from ear to ear. This is a story that broke earlier this afternoon. And well, finally, after nearly 2 years of owning Activision Blizzard and King, it is official. The FTC has lost their bid and or appeal to break up Activision Blizzard King from Microsoft. Again, this is really, Hargeet, this is not surprising. I don't understand why it took this long. I am still a bit perplexed that the entire planet Earth was approving this. And yeah, granted, in some regions of the world, they had to kind of, walk on eggshells, specifically with the UK and the EU and stuff like that. And they had to do some deals, which didn't really need to get done, but they got done. And as great as it is to see the now no longer run FTC by Lena Khan, it's somebody else. The FTC has lost, and that's it. They can't come back to this. But see, that legal mumbo jumbo is boring. And that's not what we're going to talk about here, because now we're going to get into, is acquisition season back on the table? Now, Hargeet, you had some thoughts, you had some theories about what they could do, what we could expect, maybe even an investment that's not gaming. But here's the thing. A publisher of the size of, like a Take-Two, and that's where I'm kind of going to rest my hat on. I say that if you're going to go for something big, it's got to be something humongous, and Take-Two would be the play. And I say that because, again, Grand Theft Auto, whatever, is never going to be, is never going to be exclusive. The same way Call of Duty is never going to be exclusive. But you see, the play, at least in my mind, is that game is, at least in my opinion, as big and potentially bigger than Call of Duty. If that was somehow an Xbox Game Pass, I got to be honest with you. I don't care where you game or what's your favorite brand or what's your favorite platform. You would find a way to subscribe to this service. It's that powerful of an IP. And I would even dare say that would be the same thing for like, say, for instance, Red Dead Redemption 3 released. That would be one of those driving forces as to why you would subscribe. Now, granted, I say this, Hargeet, full-throated pause, that if you're not already subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for, because they have had year after year of bangers, and 2025 has been crazy good. But let's talk acquisition season. Do you think that being the shackles have been removed from Microsoft, who we know has $90 billion in cash ready to invest, do they go something big this year, or do they wait?
So, well, first I'll say that, the FTC failed miserably in doing what they should have done, which, if you notice, the EU and, as you mentioned, both the CMA and the EU, they got concessions. You know why? They got to the table and said, what can we get from you? Right? And the FTC said, we're suing you, instead of saying, what can we get from you? Look at all these price hikes. They could have said, hey, you're locked. You can't price hike for 5 years. Would that have been a really good benefit? Right? And like, the FTC just totally failed miserably, just in their zeal to go after companies, instead of saying, what can I get to make this better for the consumer? Putting that aside, now that this is over, right? The acquisitions, I first put out that Microsoft has its own ambitions outside of just gaming. And so just keep in mind that the next thing could be totally outside of gaming, right? It is Microsoft, not just Xbox. And since Microsoft was tied up in this, now they're not. They might go after something that they might have in strategic view. Think AI, like that's a big play for them. It could be anything else we don't know, right? And that is, also stuff that's on the table. And so they have to think of Microsoft, not just gaming. Gaming's going great. That's awesome. And they could just say, hold, right? Keep doing what you're doing, or buy smaller stuff. That's fine. That's in your purview, Phil. Go ahead. Right. But if you want some big capital, we're looking at some other stuff. And that's fair, because it's Microsoft, right? And so they have to look at that. So I would say the next thing may not be in gaming. Maybe it is, but it may not be in gaming, right? Because there are big strategic areas that they're focusing on. Those other areas may need some capital, right? And they may go that direction. That would be the first thing. If you're going to go into gaming, the three that I've been looking at that I think are interesting, Valve foremost. And why? First, you get Steam. Obvious, you get that store. Second is the biggest games being played on Steam are Valve games. They're CSGO 2 and Dota. They're consistently at the top, right? And you're like, okay, so if you want like the top tier games, which is what they want those black hole games. These are games that are just played by literally millions on a consistent basis, right? You look at the concurrent player base of those games, it's like millions. So that's what you want. You want that, right? So that's a massive boon for them. The direction of growth for them, that vehicle is on Windows, mobile to some level, and that's a whole other story. That's an interesting story, but it's definitely in the Windows space, right? And if that's the case, you want to have the store du jour, which is Steam. You want to have that locked up. So Valve would be one of the best potential options. Don't know where they are on the relationship, whether it's viable or not. That's all whatever. Usually enough zeros, that viability becomes, yes, sure, I'll take that money. So that's really a question for them to figure out, asset value versus enticement and how they get to a deal. If it's viable, it's all private company, right? It's all held by Gabe, I think. So, if that's an option, that's definitely one to get. Second would be Take-Two. It gets you Zynga. It gets you Take-Two, the entire NBA 2K, WWE 2K, those annual releases. Again, those big games that everybody seems to get into, and they would now be directly in Game Pass. Gives you far more value to the subscription customer. Hey, I'm getting these annual releases. They just come in, boom, right? So that's a big boon there. Obviously, there's other major IPs like GTA. There's Mafia and Borderlands and blah, blah, blah. All the other things that they have. That's great. That's awesome. They get Zynga. They get all that. And they get those annual releases, which is big, right? So they increase their mobile presence. They increase the annual releases. That's great. The other big one I was looking at is Sega. Sega owns Rovio, so you get another mobile. And then you also get the major publisher with a lot of different IP. And you get some of those stellar, at this point, I would say they're probably outdoing, Square Enix in the RPG category with their Personas, right? So you look at those kind of games. Metaphor just came out last year. Once you get that kind of catalog, that's now in Game Pass. You get the entire Yakuza series, and they're revitalizing all their old IPs. Sonic becomes one of their mascots, right? So it's a pretty big, awesome option. Plus, it's an Asian, publisher. So those are the three that I've been looking at. But again, I think there's still Microsoft's going to go and say, I need Microsoft stuff first. So there's other Microsoft areas they're going to go after. That'd be my guess, because I'm sure they've been waiting to go after other ththings in different areas. And then they might come back to this. But smaller stuff is viable. Anything under that 100 million threshold, they could just go do it, right? It's non-regulatory. It's not going to look for regulations, regulatory oversight, because it's under the normal amount, right? So I think if they look at smaller things, they can go pick it up. I was thinking, is it Asobo that makes the
Asobo is one. Sims, IO Interactive is another.
IO Interactive is very expensive, mind you.
Really?
IO Interactive is pretty. Yeah, it's not cheap. I want to say last I looked, it was like 500-600, something like that. It's up there. It's not cheap. So, and if you look at the deal, they even if you look at the steal they got for IDOS and Crystal Dynamics, they're currently part of a bigger mix called the Middle Earth and Friends or something like that.
Yeah, Middle Earth and Friends. That's the what they broke it up. Yeah,
something like that. And that was still, they bought that for, I want to say it was like 300. And then they've added all that stuff to it, so that might be in the billion range. So it would be in the regulatory reach as far as they would have to look at it, right? So I don't know if they would go touch that. There's this whole thing about they've been talking to WB. Here's the problem with WB, right? You either buy all of WB, right? Which, okay, fine. Does Microsoft want to get back into the video business? I don't know that they do, or it's up to them, right? But that's a massive headache. They went through it before and they hated it, and then they got rid of it. So I don't know if they're going to want to do that again.
WB is a mess, bro. Their leadership is awful.
And whatever their status is, it's you would have to own the IP, which means you basically have to buy the whole thing. And then that means you basically are stuck with the video business, which may not be a bad thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, okay? But that would be hey, does Microsoft want to do that again? Their competitors are, by the way, Apple is doing video content. Amazon's doing video content. I don't know to what level you can say Google is doing their own, but they own bloody YouTube, okay, which is a massive freaking video platform. So you could say that, hey, maybe that is something they should look at, right? They tried to do it with Mixer and failed miserably there, but maybe if they and they bought, I think it was NBC and they made MSNBC and whatever, that whole thing, that's how you got the MSNBC network. That's the news channel. This is a potential for them, but I don't know if they want to go through that or not, because they did it before, they hated it. If they want to go down that path and compete in that world, they would get a ton of IP. They would also get the studios that do make games as well, right? So it's a viable thing, but gosh, it's a lot of headaches. And it's much easier to go. you just stay in your lane type of thing, right? To just stay in that lane that they're in and keep doing what they're doing. I wouldn't put it past them, though. It's possible, right? If this is an ambition they have, fair enough, right? And if they truly want to compete like their main competitors do, then they probably should look at that, because their competitors are all doing it, right? So that's up to them. So that's a far-fetched idea. I think the three that I mentioned are much more likely, but I think the smaller studios, especially the ones that are under the 100 million range, there's a lot of little ones they could do. That. What was the one that made Oxide? Was it the one that made that the
Oxide Games?
4X?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So they could pick that. That can't be very expensive, right? And so, like, if they want to continue that journey, they could do that. Those are the kind of things I would look for, like small little things that could just get out of the way. But as far as bigger things, I think it's going to go a different direction first. I could be wrong, but I think it's going to go a different direction first, because I think they have pending other things that they're strategic value to Microsoft that they're going to go after. So that'd be my guess. And then it might be one of these. But if I had to pick one first, it would be Valve. That one's like the obvious one to me. Make that the store du jour of your stuff, so that you own the platform that is yours anyway, right? And everybody who wants to get into Game Pass would not be so disinclined to use it, because the Steam store is the store that everybody seems to like when it comes to content on Windows, on PC. So that'd be my thoughts.
I mean, it's great picks all around. You know the one that's the most intriguing but exciting. Look, a lot of us old graybeards, and I shave, so I don't really have a gray beard tonight, which is fine. I hate the beard anyway, but we all look back to Sega. I mean, I know that there's going to be some Nintendo folks that like Mario better than Sonic, and I get all of that. But I'm a Sega kid. As much as I love Nintendo, I'm a Sega kid. I remember bringing home Tony La Russa baseball with the Genesis. Oh my God. I went with my mom to pick that up. It was such good times, man. And right now, Sega is on a tear. Like, they are doing some big things. And why I really like that. Look, everybody would say buy GTA, of course, or, something else. Fine. Why, and I can't speak for him because he's in the midst of a meeting. I tried to get him here. He's super busy. I'm talking about Everborn Saga. He would fall out of his chair for a Sega acquisition. But why I like the Sega pick is because of how the relationship with Sega and Xbox has been, right? The Yakuza series has taken off in a big way. There's some rumors floating around. Now, I don't know how viable this is, because I don't have I can't source it, which is why I say take it with a grain of salt. But there's been some rumors floating around that they want to take the development of Yakuza and transition that know-how into a new Shenmue, which would be, because I think they need to reboot the series. They just really need to, and that engine would be perfect for it. But it's not just something as small as that. I'm not being facetious. Shenmue, not a lot of people know about that. That game was dope. That is really a trilogy of, if you haven't played it, man, you missed out. But they're just about to re-release all of their classic IPs redone. You're getting a new Shinobi. You're getting a new Golden Axe. You're getting a new Streets of Rage. I mean, it's just, the Jet Set Radio is coming back. Echo the Dolphin, for crying out loud, is coming back. It's just madness. So if you're a Sega dude like me, you would definitely appreciate that. But Keisante, look, we have a lot of people. Some people are for more acquisitions. Others are like, they need to stop. They stay where they are, whatever. Mm-hmm. But the thing is this: Xbox Anywhere is ultimately the play. And Xbox Anywhere is going to be partnered with Xbox Game Pass. And they need to continue to fill the coffers of Xbox Game Pass with first-party IP, indies, second-party, and third-party deals. But if they own someone like a Sega, and that goes into Game Pass, or like, for instance, I know this is crazy, folks, they owned Grand Theft Auto, and somehow or another, that was an entry, you would see, I mean, I don't know what it would be in a week, a month, a year, but you would see record growth to having some big IPs in there Do you think they wait? And do you believe that maybe they go for some of the smaller studios that they're currently working with? Where do you take this, man?
So honestly, for me, what I have seen from them, they tend to overcorrect when things happen. You know, when something happens and you know they beat it by the skin of their teeth, or maybe they lose a little bit. They go, okay, we're gonna fix it, and then they fix it to a point where it becomes sometimes a little detrimental. I would look at like
they break it instead of
Cyberpunk.
fixing it.
That's right. I would look at Cyberpunk and their what do you call it, their certification process as an effect, right? Cyberpunk showed that you needed a more robust certification system across the board, and what did that do? That's led to Xbox having some delayed games because the certification process is robust, right? They take lessons and they learn it, right? So to me, I feel like is there any company that could potentially buy the likes of a Take-Two or Valve? Absolutely, right? And there are very few who could. Microsoft is definitely one of them, right? I'm just not sure they would want to in the short term, because they got the sun burned their butt on the last one, right? A little bit for a while, right? Like it really did. Like they went in expecting, oh, we're gonna do a couple of years, we'll be fine, and they were roasted, right? Although, to Hargeet's point, they were roasted. Indeed, they were, but ultimately they got off scot-free, like scot-free. Why? Because let's take a pause and think about it. Since they've done this, they have increased prices on both their software and their hardware, right? They're basically disenfranchising their hardcore at this point, right? All things that a smart and capable FTC could have protected against while coming for them, right? While looking to adjudicate the case. Instead, it was ABK, shiny, Call of Duty, shiny, and it kept every attention there. So all these things that, to Hargeet's point, you know, maybe protect the consumer, stop price increases, you know, put some teeth in the ruling to make to be able to say you got some concessions. But of course, that's not what happened here. It is what it is. For me right now, I think if they are smart, and I know they are, you know, the bunch of great people that work there, they know what they're talking about. I would say right now, mum's the word on any of those huge regulatory FTC fights. Will they make it through? Of course they will, right? We see that the regimes have changed, and big business will rule the day as it tends to, right? So could they make big purchases? I'm sure they could, but I don't think they do without it being fanfare again, without it being this whole big, you know, who wants their pound of flesh again, right? And to the point that you guys have already made, it is absolutely like possible for them to make these purchases of certain strategic value that they want without it hitting Front Street, without it becoming a huge burden that people have to make a big deal about. So to your point, right, you know, I do think that the big X factor is, do they want to be purchased? Right? This is not like we want you, we have you territory. That tends to be, that's not how the world works these days, right? There has to be two willing parties, and you know, the world we live right now, corporate in even speaking in gaming, corporate's not getting a good look. So I would imagine indie devs aren't so eager to be bought by corporate, but that is the smart play, right? I do agree with you guys that is the smart play, where you strategically purchase a few studios here and there. You want to make another publishing house? Don't buy a publishing house. Make one from disparate studios that you then bring together as a brain trust. Yeah. Obviously, all of this requires vision. It requires attention. It requires patience. You know, and of course, we are now armed with the things we know now that we didn't know before ABK, which means don't expect any real gaming benefits. Potentially expect layoffs to happen there. Like there's a lot of that mushy middle that we weren't anticipating, like keeping in our mind's eye when that whole ABK fight started, and now we're very much well aware of what that means, right? What the acquisitions and things mean. But honestly, to everyone's point, I do agree that they should still be on the hunt for acquisitions. I think they should, but they should be a lot more strategic now and be very, very poignant and pick studios where they can assist and they can help. And then, like much like in the Compulsion example, empower, and then sit back and watch what they can do. And more often than not, it seems to be benefiting them. So yeah, I agree with the Sega point, but the thing with Sega is, do they, while they are riding high, do they want to take their own the foot off the gas themselves and hand it to Microsoft? Because that's effectively what they'd be doing, right? They have a vision now and they have a plan now. Do they think that Microsoft can help them meet that vision, or are they bold enough to go, look, man, we got it. We think we're good. Not sure, right? Because we all can agree Sega's on a tear. They're doing something. They got interesting things afoot, and it looks like it's all going to be exciting. Do they think they need them in order to get to the finishing line? Because that'd probably be the only reason how and why they would that would facilitate. It wouldn't be we want you, here's money. It'd be we got a plan, leave us alone. You know?
It's an interesting thought and theory from both sides of the perspective. So walk with me, folks, on this. Right? From an Xbox point of view, you say, well, look, Sonic is hot. And I don't mean that figuratively. He's making money for them, right? Sonic 1, 2, and 3 were a surprise at the box office ever since they fixed that ugly Sonic that everyone was like, "Oh my God, no, please!" And the torches and the pitchforks came out, and he's making money for them. Sonic may not be as big for some as Mario is for others, right? And that's fine. And you know what? I don't care where you go. I think they're both incredible mascots that have an unbelievable legacy. But to own that particular character and all of the characters that come along with Sonic, it would be a big deal. But from the Sega point of view, look, Sega is, you know what's interesting? And this is a bit of a side tangent. I don't know if you guys and gals remember, before Resident Evil 7 came out, Capcom was on the cusp of filing for Chapter 11. I'm not sure if a lot of people actually remember that. They were in big trouble. And from Resident Evil 7 to where they are now, they have exploded on the scene, and they are one of the most dominant publishers in gaming right now. Sega kind of looks like they're on that trajectory a little bit, right? Like they were down and out for many, many years, and they slowly been putting out games, and obviously they've been hitting. I mean, there's been a lot of really big Sega games to come out, and maybe they are not in the position that they want to be purchased, but because the market is so volatile right now, who knows? So, look, they have a good working relationship. I think there is value having Sonic as an IP. I think, honestly, there's value in all of their old IP coming back in a big way. I think that all of those games that I just mentioned earlier, like the Shinobis and the Streets of Rage and Echo the Dolphin, I don't know how they stand on their own, because I know that I'm buying every one of them. But would it behoove Sega to put those games into a service like Xbox Game Pass where they get a bag of money? And if they were purchased, well, then they would be in Game Pass automatically. So it's an interesting thought and theory. Again, I like the idea of the smaller ones. I don't think they go for any big publishers. And Hargate actually might be onto something here, where he thinks Xbox might actually, Microsoft might actually want to Microsoft, if you know what I mean. And that's get into, further into AI development and by companies in the
or any of the other vision things that they have, right? There's cloud stuff. We just don't know. There might be other areas that they need more investment, right? So that they can, they have many areas to compete in. That's just the reality of it. A smaller company that might be, I don't know how big it is, but Samfall that just did Expedition 33, which seems to have blown up. That can't be too big of an investment. I'm sure that's not going to be over 100, right? So, but hey, that would fund their next game. It seems to have done very well in Game Pass. It's still, is it 2 million now? How many? It's sold quite a bit.
Yeah, they just announced that they had crossed 2 million sales. Yes.
Yeah. So, that's another potential. I would have liked this to have happened already, but it didn't. It was a GSC Game World. I think that's the name, the one that did Stalker.
Yes.
After all the crap that they've been through, and they've already invested so much. would that be a potential for them? But I don't know if that goes over the 100 level. It probably does.
They're kind of small,
you know.
though. I don't know if anybody in the chat, we have a lot of sleuths here. If you could find out what the market cap for GSC Game World is,
I don't know if
just
they're
throw it
public,
into the chat.
but public, it makes it a little easier because it's readily available what their market capitalization is, but also you could just go in and say, well, I want this for this much, so I will just pay your shareholders this much. Now what? Though to Kay's point, it's not just one, like you want it to be mutual because the developers are who you're buying. It's not really it's not just the IP, it's the people who make the IP that matter a lot. So you want to make sure that they're there with it, but
Navy Shadow, this is a great pick. Iron Galaxy for Killer Instinct. Like, honestly, I thought that was going to happen. And again, I thought that they were working on Killer Instinct. Maybe I'm mistaken, or they've been so radio silenced with it that we don't know. I'm hoping that Killer Instinct does show up this June. That would send me like flying back off my chair, because you're gonna hear me no matter where you are in the world. If that happens, if I hear that dun 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 dun, oh, forget about it. It's gonna be I may even streak. I'm probably gonna go to jail, but something like that's definitely happened.
They don't own any IP, right?
Yeah, they own the IP. They own Killer Instinct. The problem with Killer Instinct is it went through the hands of 2 developers, and then of course,
if they were to pick up Iron Galaxy, it would be the valuation. I think it's a small enough studio. It's like 200, 300 people, right?
Yes.
The studio itself wouldn't be worth a lot unless it came with IP.
Right.
The IP is what drives up the value, right?
No, they don't have anything. I don't think they'd be buying any IP from them. But
Killer Instinct, then it could be relatively straightforward, right? It's we're just buying the studio to continue to maintain our fighting games. Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that I look, like I've said before, as absolutely amazing as Game Pass is, right? And obviously last year and this year were perfect examples of having IP that span just an unbelievable broad stroke of genres, right? You have everything from games that you can fly a plane and, actually, do good enough where you may want to get your flying license, right? There's driving games, there's, dude bro shooters, there's RTSs. Two genres that don't have a real presence, at least from an Xbox first party perspective, are platformers, which we all know that at some point Spyro is going to come back in a big way, even though that's Activision. Yes, it's first party. There's going to be potentially another Crash. Supposedly there is some talk, and again, this is all rumors, folks. And again, the Banjo Bros, I think we're up to like 6 or 7 of us now. Not a lot, but at least there's 6 of us. I know Paris Lily is one of them. Maybe at some point we get a Banjo. I'd love a new platformer, but fighting. And again, it's a neat. And I'm not being facetious, folks. Fighters are niche. Even Street Fighter 6, as amazing as it was, didn't sell as much as you thought it should have sold. And that goes for Tekken, and that goes for Guilty Gear. Well, one of the more different fighters because of the combo system has been Killer Instinct. And as great as that game, and it's still fan-freaking-tastic, the game launched in 2013. I would love to see a new Killer Instinct. And again, if Iron Galaxy does what they did with Killer Instinct when they took over seasons 2 and 3, you will have guest characters out the wazoo. And right now, Xbox owns a lot of IP. I mean, we'd all be looking for Doom Guy to be in there, Power Armor from Fallout. I mean, Master Chief, Marcus Phoenix. The list just goes on and on. Joanna Dark could be in there. Senua would be a great character for Killer Instinct. The list just goes on and on. But
they also have the Crash Brawler, right? Like they have that.
That didn't do that good, but yeah, it's still there. It's still a thing. And
again, they have tons of IP that could also be in that as well, right? So I'm just saying that the other thing they could work on.
And they also could do I know people are gonna where are the virtual tomatoes? Are they gonna start throwing if I mention a kart racer with the Xbox? I'm gonna get that.
They have it.
Racer.
They have that Crash Team Racing.
And it's good. Yeah, I'm talking about an Xbox IP racer where you could be driving through Gears of War and Fallout and even drive through hell with Doom. That would be amazing. But let's see, look, Jagger, I see you, brother. I see you with those tomatoes. Watch out for yourself. Shout out to Jagger 0718 for being here. Super appreciate that, brother. Look, gentlemen, we do have a big topic to get into. That is the Asus or Asus handheld that leaked. That looks filthy. I just hate looking at the picture because it's so filthy, but it's fine.
Nobody bothered to clean it. Like, what are you doing?
That's what I'm saying. They should have at least wiped it down. Jesus, like, did they get it out of a dumpster or something?
Like gross fingers. I'm just like,
it's bad. What I want to do is I want to read the 2 super chats we got here, and I want to let Hargeet break down for us when he gets back about the meet and greet that's happening the week of June. I'm gonna say 7th and 8th. That's the Saturday and the Sunday. Obviously, the showcase is going to be a big part of it. It is for the community, by the community. We'll get more deets in a second. But Michael Mooney drops a very generous £5 super chat. Michael, thanks so much for being here, brother, and thank you so much for the generosity. He says, strange choice having 64 gigabit of RAM on the Xbox handheld. I know that they said the specs are pretty impressive. I don't know if 64 gigs of RAM is
not a strange choice. If you know what,
so we're gonna let
that one.
You know what? We will let the actual tech experts, not this boob, make mention of why it's important for 64 gigs. But thank you. We have Torrance HUD Zero Hudson in the chat. HUD Zero, thanks so much for being here, brother. He says this after being a channel member for a whopping 42 freaking months, bro. That's crazy. Thank you so much for the generosity, brother. He says, well, the Xbox floodgates are now about to open, and the acquisition team from Microsoft or of Microsoft is now drooling at the next few developer publishers that they want. Indeed. I don't know how quickly they act on it, because obviously the market is kind of volatile right now. With the tariffs and everything, it's tricky. I don't know if they do anything now, but certainly, at least for me, any studio that is working with you on first-party IP, like Fable, like Perfect Dark, whatever else they have that we don't know about, those are the studios that you need to figure out if you want to add them and that if they should add them. And I think that Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal are 2 studios that slipped through their fingers because of the ABK holdup. Like when Embracer was getting rid of studios, they could have purchased them and got them at a really good deal. And again, they're working on first-party IP. You want them to be a part of your team. We have Do You K Now, the Broke Boy Insider, drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, "Boom, will you be on the Xbox trip when the Switch 2 drops?" No, the Switch 2 drops on the 5th. I am flying out on the 7th. So I'm going to be able to pick it up. I literally just had this conversation with Kay Asante on the phone. I'm like, Kay, I got to fly for 6 hours from New York to LA. I would really like to be playing Mario Kart World. I think I'm bringing my damn Switch 2. I'm sorry. I think if I don't bring it, you should pull my card and shred it as a gamer. I'm sorry, because that's a new console. How do I not bring that? That's just crazy. But you know what, Hargi Chani, let's take 5 minutes to talk about the big event happening the weekend of June 7th, because of course June 8th is when the showcase is happening. But that's not the only thing that is happening. Let's talk about it, man.
Yeah, so as far as our event, like, look, there's a whole bunch of other things happening. There's Summer Game Fest, and then there's Play Days, and there's other stuff that goes on, right? So, but for Xbox's June showcase, we will have this event. Essentially, usually what Microsoft does is they would have a watch party as part of their Fan Fest. So you would be able to enter their raffle, and if you're selected, you'd be able to watch with everyone. So yeah, essentially we're replacing that. They decided to not do it this year. I don't know if they're ever going to do it again, but we replaced it. And so we have a facility. We're locking down the sources of food and drinks and all that stuff. It's free for the guests. So for all of you who win the raffle, there's no entry fee or anything. You do have to get yourself there. That's on you. So you'll have to find, if you're living there, that's easy enough. If you're in LA, if not, you'll have to find your way there and find a hotel or however you want to stick around there. But yeah, so it'll be on the 8th on Sunday. The doors open at 9 a.m. There's a specific time, and then the show starts at 10. So we will be there, and we will have events before and after. So while you guys are getting in, there'll be some stuff going on, and then we'll have events afterwards and raffles, giveaways, all sorts of stuff afterwards as well. So we don't want to get into too much detail yet because we haven't locked everything down. We will have special guests. We will try to get some cool ones that are surprises, but we'll see what we can do there. But yeah, we're going to try to do something special as much as we can with the short notice that we have. So yeah, join up if you can, if you're interested, if you can get out there, on that weekend, come on out, and it'll be, hopefully a fun time for everybody who's an Xbox fan.
Yeah, I mean, and I threw it up on the screen, folks. You can go to communityfanfest.com, fill out the raffle application, and obviously then, of course, hit send. And if you are picked, you'll be notified well in advance. Like Hargeet said, everything is going to be free. So if you do win your way into this event, you are not going to be tasked to pay any money. It is intended to be a fan event for the fans, by the fans, for the fans, and it's going to be free. And of course, again, it's going to be in LA, Sunday, June 8th. There's going to be games, there's going to be giveaways, and there's going to be several pretty big special guests. And of course, one of the ones that can be we can confirm, because he's already confirmed it, is Paris Lily is going to be there, which is awesome. A lot of things are going on as we get closer. We're going to continue to advertise it, and we'll be giving you guys and gals the information as it becomes available. But the three of us on this panel tonight will, in fact, be there with bells on to celebrate with you, the fans. And I can't freaking wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. But gentlemen, let me just bring this down and bring back the gameplay. We got to get into this handheld. I'm going to go in reverse order because, both of you guys are tech guys. Like I come to you and I ask you the questions because I know tech, but they know tech. And if there's a source to go to, it's either Hargeet or it's Asante. So one of the people in the chat says, why have 64 gigabytes of memory for this Xbox, Asus, or Asus handheld? But you know what? Let me give credit where credit is due, as we do here at Double Barrel Gaming. The story was, in fact, pulled by TheVerge.com. I'm going to add it to the show notes. So if you want to read it for yourself, I encourage you to do so. It was written and posted by Dominic Preston. He is a news editor with over a decade of experience in journalism. And the lead title is Xbox and Asus Xbox handheld appears had to been leaked online. And I just want to kind of give you just the opening salvo of what the article says. This is the first photos of the Asus ROG Ally 2 have surfaced online thanks to regulatory listings, but with a twist. There are two versions of the gaming handheld, and one features a dedicated Xbox button. The article goes on to say, Asante, we reported 2 months ago that Microsoft was working with Asus to develop the Xbox-branded handheld codename Project Kenan, not Keenan. That was a big hubbub. And this appears to be it. It's a black version of the otherwise almost identical white ROG Ally 2 with a small button on the top left corner bearing an engraving of the Xbox logo. That button is blacked out on the regular ROG, though it will likely be replaced or removed in its production version. So, Asante, we've been talking about this for a while. This is not, just for some clarification, the Xbox handheld. This is a partnered device with Asus, and it is going to apparently run a version of Windows 11 that is scaled down to basically have this thing look and run like an Xbox, almost identical to it working like your home console. But again, Xbox does have their own handheld coming in the next couple of years. This is a partner device. Let's talk about this, because these pictures, and again, if you are a neat freak, you're probably scratching yourself that why didn't they just clean these filthy things?
This was not the way you wanted to show it.
No, it's not.
It's not the way you want to show it.
Wipe it down for. It almost looks like they got it at someone dumpster dived and got this thing out of a construction site, because it looks like it's like brick dust on there.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
First off, let's address the question that was asked. Why 64 gigs? Because, well, 64 gigs is true that it's unusual. It is unusual.
Yeah.
I buy a lot of handhelds. I buy handhelds by boutique makers in China and other places. They have 64 gigs as well, but that usually is reserved for the high end. Why? Because in a handheld, and here's an example of a handheld, one of them right here. This has 32 gigs actually of RAM in it. In a handheld, they don't have separate VRAM and quickly, VRAM is the RAM dedicated to the GPU. It runs differently than the regular RAM, but in a handheld where they don't have discrete separate card, they borrow some of the RAM from the regular computer and let it run for the eGPU. So for the vCPU VRAM. So the more regular RAM you have, the more you can allocate to your video card. So that way, let's say 2-3 years from now, when VRAM requirements are like 16 gigs or something ridiculous like that, which it's becoming ridiculous like that, you can still just go into your handheld and dial in more RAM, and now your machine can run it. Historically, in the past, when they didn't have that allocation, what would happen? You'd have really bad, I think Ally for a long time couldn't play certain AAA games because they didn't have the ability to allocate more VRAM, stuff like that. So it is a very smart move to allocate more RAM, way more than you need, because these small handhelds can do a lot with that kind of stuff. But in general, the reason why this thing is exciting is because it's basically following the line that we thought it would follow, right? Like, it's a handheld device that is not made by Microsoft, right? By all intents and purposes, it's almost like they took a controller that was made by Asus and they cracked it in half and put a screen on it. So it's got this controller feel on the back with a screen on the front of it, right? So that's what it's kind of, that's the energy it's trying to evoke. Some of us have been talking about that for some time now, that the holy grail, well, for them, is eventually getting to a place where it will just be a Lenovo device or an Asus device or anything else, or it'll be a Microsoft device, and you have many choices in it, right? This is speaking to that very notion with what they're releasing. What looks interesting though is that the white one has the Xbox button grayed out, whereas the black one has the Xbox button prominently featured or like that. So it's been rumor and speculation that maybe one is Steam based and the other one is Xbox based. Who knows? We'll see when it comes out. What's also notable is it looks like from what it sounds like from a hardware perspective, it is very much along the same line as the Z1, a la Z2. They're taking one of the really good new chipsets and they're repurposing it for gaming this way. So add to that and a bigger battery, and oh boy, it is going to run really well. Like, it is super optimized. We are excited to see what it looks like. This is great. For me personally, what this excites me for is the idea of the software that Microsoft will bring to run on it, right? Maybe for a while, this has exclusive software that can only be found on it, but in short order, it'll be available elsewhere, right? And if it's available elsewhere, that means it can run on your original machines, potentially, or it can run on other machines, or you can DIY it and install it on your own machine. I love that Microsoft is doing this.
I put it up on the screens, Kay, if you want to if you want to make mention of it. Here's what it looks like. Again, on the left, it's disgustingly filthy, and on the right,
it
it's
is
not
absolutely
any
filthy.
better.
Yes, it's not any better. And whoever's messing with it, touch the screen all gross like you're just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Someone needs to talk to. There's a reason it's called white glove, ladies and gentlemen. Put on a glove. Put on a glove. Anyway. So yeah, that's what it looks like. I actually think it's pretty cool. Uh, as a person who uses a bunch of handhelds, I tend to focus on usability rather than design. And you can tell that while this may not have the greatest design, it'll definitely be ergonomically sound, right? It's made to be ergonomically sound, right? We, and it's funny. The handheld that I'm using currently, people have I see you in the chat, Rick L, calling it ugly. The handheld that I own, I've heard people say exactly the same. Oh, it doesn't look. But I will fight anyone and say it's the most ergonomically sound handheld that I've ever used, and this looks like it's doing the same thing. Same thing like PlayStation users, the Portal, right? They literally cut up a PS5 controller in half, seemingly, and put a screen on it. And because of that, it is super, super comfortable to hold. It's balanced well. It looks like that's what they're going for here, right?
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I really, really hated the original ergonomic design of the Ally. It was not great for a person with my hands. It was not great. This far better. I just wish they had a bigger screen. They don't. It's still the 7-inch screen. I tend to like 8.8 or bigger. I like a bigger size screen, but this will be awesome. I look forward to it showing up in Best Buy and hopefully not being completely ruined by tariff pricing. We shall see.
Oh, dude, that's the other thing. Again, it's one of those things. If this would have already come out, it might have, just missed it. But now with everything that's happening, man, it's it's funny. I totally off subject, folks. Someone actually had DM'd me with this theory, and it's a pretty interesting theory. So again, we'll get back on track in a second, but one of the points that was brought to my attention was why the Grand Theft Auto delay. Was it because they needed more development time, or was it delayed because of tariff pricing for consoles? Because you got to remember something. It's only on next gen, meaning Series X, Series S, and PS5. It's not coming to PC, and it normally doesn't, right? Like some people try to suggest, oh, they want to do PC release at the same time. Maybe. I that's not how Rockstar rolls. They get everyone to double dip, and then you buy it on console and you buy it on PC. That's just how they roll, right? So I don't think it was that. But the angle of pricing for consoles makes sense because you're going to get PlayStation is going to raise the price of the console at some point. When that is, I have no idea, but they're going to raise the price. It's going to be very difficult for people to move from a 1X or a 1S or a PS4 or a PS4 Pro and then somehow be able to get what could be $100 game. It's again, if that's what it is, it makes perfect sense. But again, side tangent, it just popped into my head, and we were talking about tariffs, so that's why I wanted to make mention of it. Back on track, Hargeet. Let's get into these filthy handhelds. I mean, first of all, I'm very excited for it because I currently have a ROG Ally, and it works great. And the what the hell is it called? Something crate. The Armory crate.
Armory.
Yeah, the Armory crate. You just it works. But it's I'll put it this way, folks. It's a little too much PC for me. I kind of like the plug and play kind of a thing. I know how to work it, and I had to download ROMs. I had to do all the bells and whistles of it. But I kind of just want an Xbox handheld that just does Xbox stuff, meaning that I don't want to have to game in the cloud. I want to be able to download games that I own or on Xbox Game Pass into this thing and just go. And I think ultimately that's what this is going to be. Ultimately, that is what the Xbox handheld is going to be. It is going to be this device that probably can get you Steam games. I would imagine it's going to probably run parallel to the mythical box that is rumored to be happening in 2027. But for now, as a partner device, I actually think the first of all, I think the screen looks amazing. And obviously, it being a smaller screen, every game that you play on, it's going to look amazing. Hargeet, let's talk about these leaked pictures. And And again, I understand that they're leaked pictures, but we were all under the impression that GDC was going to be the place where they showed this thing off, and they didn't. Now, I don't know why they didn't, but do you think that there's going to be potentially a shot at this June, which is just a pinch under a month away, where we could see this thing actually show up at the Xbox showcase?
I tend to doubt it'd be at the showcase, especially being a partner device. If it was one of their own devices, it's a possibility, but I wouldn't expect, because look, you're going to need to really spend some time on this, right? It's not just a simple Xbox SKU with extra storage or something like that.
Yeah,
they're going to have to really showcase it. So I don't know that they would do that at showcase, just because of the sheer number of games they have to show, right? I think they'd probably focus more on that. They could spend like a blurb, couple of minutes on hardware, but I don't think they would spend. You probably need like a good 15 minutes to go over how they're making this like better, right? What are the things they're doing to Windows to make it work better, et cetera, right? So it needs a little bit of work there, right? So a little bit of time. I would think this is a separate thing. I don't know when it's going to happen. It could happen this month, next month, maybe later. If it's already getting the approvals, it's probably close, right? So there probably would be some sort of a, now that it's leaked, they probably need to pull it forward, but some sort of a presentation on what it's about, and then the release date, right? Which will probably be a couple of months out or something like that. So we're close. From an overall perspective, we've already said this is a journey. It's not the end device, right? So you're not going to be playing your Xbox back catalog here. This is going to be PC based. It will do whatever the PC does. And it's really supposed to be an interface change on the Windows side. So we will see what that looks like. From a device perspective, I expect this to be expensive. I don't like the current ROG is like $700-800. So I don't expect this to be cheaper. There's no subsidy here. This is absolutely they've already told you that with the new current pricing for Xbox consoles, PlayStation consoles and Nintendo consoles. They're not taking any hit here. You're going to pay. It's going to be profit for them. This is ROG, is Asus. Asus is going to make money off of each device. So expect it to be in that range. I don't we're hearing the storage might be up to 2 terabytes. Maybe that's a more expensive SKU. I don't know. We'll see. But if it is like a 2 terabyte device, I would not be surprised if it's $900. Wow. If it's a 1 terabyte or half terabyte, maybe it comes in at $700 or $800. We will see. But it's going to be pricey. Like the ROG LIX, I think, is 800 list, something like that. So don't expect anything much cheaper than that. It's right around that price.
Let me help you out with the pricing. Right now, unbeknownst to most, remember the MSI Claw? That thing first came out and it wasn't that great, and then they released a new version. The new Claw A with some updates is now the best performing device out there. So much so that it trades blows with Strix Point. Right now, it says coming soon on Best Buy. It was $799, $800, which was a bad. Oh no, I think it was $899. It was $900, which was a bad price. Now it's $999. Wow, MSI has gone across the board everywhere. Now to get that device with 32 gigs of RAM and a processor that really punches blows against the Strix Point, which is what's gonna be in this machine that you're looking at, it's $1,000 at Best Buy today. So that should tell you something.
Yeah, I again, I'm just warning people. Expect it to be pricey. Everybody balked $450 for a Nintendo. I'm like, dude, this is totally fine for what they're giving you. It's an actually a good price for the kit you're getting. I don't know why people balked at that. Why Nintendo should be cheap? Like the stuff they're giving you is pretty good, and for what you're getting, that's a fair asking price. And you'll see what I mean once this thing comes out and it's double the price. And then you can start complaining about how Nintendo is so expensive. It's not. So but this is handheld gaming, right? Like if you buy one of these, and Kay, you bought a lot of these, so you know how much these
it's what
cost.
Kay does.
They are expensive. They are expensive.
Hey now.
But hey, if it's a value to you, if you enjoy it, why not, right? This is our hobby, and if you have the money to do it, why not? It's fine. But for those who don't want to spend that kind of money, yeah. So I don't know if this is going to be a mass appeal device. It really is kind of in that, hey, I want to play every type of game. I want to have this new kind of interface, and I want to have this portable so that I can take it with me on, say, a train ride or a plane ride or something like that, right? You travel a lot. It might be worth it to you, right? There might be other use cases at home too, right? But go ahead, sorry.
The thing that might be cool for us and for you, gamer, who may not want to get into this hardware, is with this hardware comes cool software, right? And
exactly.
I'm on that train that when that cool software comes out, it'll make even your old hardware better. So this brings cool software with it. So you may not. It maybe tariffs may make it too expensive. Maybe market conditions may make it expensive. I think both combined will make it way too expensive. But ultimately, this is Microsoft bringing software to bear and partnering with ASUS, who's bringing hardware to bear. What are we seeing right now? We're seeing ASUS's hardware. What does Microsoft software look like? I bet it does not look like what it looked like. Oh yeah, we're not on the screen. Boom. Yeah.
I don't know if you.
You want me to bring it back up? Hold on a sec. Let me.
Yeah, bring us back up. Yeah.
Hold on a sec. Let me.
I bet that software is going to be super interesting. So I think that's where people should be excited.
Yeah, that's the journey, right? And if that software is available to more than just this device.
Yes.
Right. So whatever update they do there, right?
I wouldn't be surprised if it's ultimately available to the Ally One. It becomes like you want it, it's yours. That's the stuff. That's the stuff that will bring about a lot of excitement for those who like the game like this.
Yeah. It's an interesting time though. Like we will see when this comes out. It's possible that it's coming out in the next month or two. But as far as the release information, right? But yeah, it'd be good to see what it actually is, what they're actually doing with it. The Z2 Extreme, I think you're right that the black version is the Xbox and the white version is the Steam, and they're going to be two different performance targets. So that's a viability there. We'll see what they do.
I think the Xbox variant is the more expensive and more performant one,
and more powerful.
And the Steam, and the Steam variant one is the one that's probably more like the Steam chip OG, right? The Van Gogh, the Ampere chip that they originally backed it on. That might be the next gen version, seemingly, of that. Shout out to the Fox, the great Fox. He's been doing some analysis with that as well. So. Yeah, it looks interesting. It really does, no doubt. No doubt.
Now,
gross fingers, not with fingers.
Would I buy? Kesanti, are you gonna buy it?
Oh, I'm buying it.
I am getting one. Sure. Yeah, I'm getting one. I'm most likely the black one. I'm most likely getting the black one. Why? Because
you want to see what the capability is, right?
Yeah. You know what'll stop me from buying one of these? What'll stop me from buying one of these is if they say, okay, this comes out in, say, I don't know, November. You could either have this thing, it has these features, this, that, and the third, or the same software is able and capable on your existing device. Because my existing device is more powerful than this, or it will be more powerful than this, right? The standard the 370 HXs are more powerful, right? So if you give me the software, I'd be happy about it. But we do live in a new world where taxes are abound and tariffs and this, that, and the third. So Best Buy might be the best look, right? It might be the best place to get this. So as long as they put a lot of thought into this hardware, it may be really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like.
Gentlemen, there is a person in the chat. Welcome, a bubble wrap in the chat. Ask a pretty interesting question. I think it's an easy answer, but you guys are tech guys. He says, why not copy the PlayStation Portal and make an Xbox Portal and price it at $200, and so it's able to play all Xbox games?
Oh, the easy answer is because they don't need to.
G, whatever the heck it
was. Which I have right here.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
Which I have right here. Exactly. Yes. The reason why is because they don't need to do that, right? Like the Portal is the answer to Microsoft's question, right? What was the question? Xbox without a console, right? They gave you Fire Sticks, they gave you apps, they gave you a bunch of places to do that. Sony's answer was Portal, right? They each do it in their own way. And the Portal's great, for the record. I own one. I love it. It's great.
I have one also. I play Vampire Survivors on it while I'm chilling on the couch all the time. It's great.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's a different paradigm. It's a different solution. And frankly, I wouldn't have liked this solution from Microsoft because I already have the G Cloud and it serves that purpose. And frankly, any Android device can be like that for Xbox because they allow you to put their apps everywhere. Similarly to PlayStation, right? So yeah, that's why I think that's the case. I think this move is a far better move on their part.
Well, I mean, again, from a Neanderthal point of view, I like the idea of being able to download your games onto this thing, as opposed to you having to turn on your console to play the Portal, which is what you have to do with the PlayStation Portal. Great device, great looking screen, but you're kind of stuck. This over here,
you're hampered.
Yeah,
it's not local rendering. It's all about the internet connection. If you ain't got the connection, you're done.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm gonna stop the screen share right there, and we get right back to the gameplay. But again, it's one of those things where I believe it's happening sooner than later. But the problem is with the current market, guys. Man, I don't know if this, again, you just said it. This thing could cost $1,000. I mean, only the elite.
There are Reddit horror stories of people buying seemingly a few $100 devices, but of course, yesterday they were seemingly a few $100. Today they're no longer a few $100. There are thousands now because tariffs on top. It's a thing. It's a thing. Obviously, when a device of this nature comes out, it won't be up to you to go figure it out or whatever. It will be at a Best Buy or whatever. But like I said, you go to Best Buy right now, the MSI Claw that was $899 is now $1,000 clean, right? Yeah. So everywhere you're gonna experience some of this pain. It is what it is.
You know what's interesting? On a bit of a segue, Tom Warren posted something, gentlemen, earlier, which kind of brings all of this thing together. So Tom Warren of The Verge posted that the Xbox app on Windows now has a clock, Wi-Fi information, and battery status in the compact mode. And he says, it's Tom Warren, just in time for the Xbox branded handheld. And I mean, obviously this thing has seen a bunch of changes. So with this, obviously with the leak, and again, shout out, let me just get back to the chat over here because somebody actually had said something. Jose Bajadas says that this is, folks, if you're saying that this looks fake, I get it because it looks filthy and maybe it looks, this is an actual FCC filing. It's real.
It's on the .gov. Yeah, it's on the .gov. Tom Warren and them do not peddle in hyperbole and ridiculousness like that. It is as real as it can be. Yes.
Yeah. So, guys, with the new information, obviously the leak, it's been talked about in many circles. But the Tom Warren post from today, and that happened it happened at 10:16 this morning. I kind of think that this is really Xbox full sail ahead. I mean, the Xbox Anywhere thing is starting to ramp up in a big way. This is an Xbox is starting to ramp up in a big way. There, obviously the Xbox app on Windows has this big update. So with all of this stuff seemingly happening at the same time, do you guys think that this is something they're going to announce? Because Hargeet, you say no to the showcase, and I'm kind of agreeing with you, and I think you're onto something with that, because this is a partnered device. Where this would have shown up really nice is at a partnered event that was usually and has always been in March. Didn't happen, right? Didn't happen in April, and we're in May. Now, again, unless it happens in the next week and two might be pushing it, you're getting into showcase territory now. And do you want to have multiple shows unless they have so much Xbox first party stuff to show on June or in June, do they have a partnered event? Because again, we just saw a clarification from Square where the entire trilogy of Final Fantasy remake series will be on Switch 2, but still no announcement for Xbox. It's just so weird. Like that I don't know, man. I just think it's a real bad look for Xbox. I think it's a worse look for Square Enix. And I don't know if that Sony, deal is so, ironclad that Xbox can't even mention Final Fantasy and Xbox at the same time. It's a bit weird. But listen, we'll hang around for another 15 minutes. That's my actually next question for you guys. Do you think there's going to be a partner event where this device is going to show up in the next couple of weeks? Because again, there's been a lot of information from different places that suggests that it could be an announcement that happens soon. Is it a ROG Ally announcement, or is it an Xbox partnered announcement? And maybe, Hargeet, that's what they were waiting for, and the reason why we didn't get the partner event that normally happens in March.
Yeah, I don't know that I would expect this to be in that either. This seems like it should be its own thing. I think there should be like an Asus/Xbox event. And then because they did that kind of before, right? When they announced this partnership before, when the ROG Ally, the first one, came out, and they had an Xbox person there, and they did some work together, but this is to expand that partnership, right? So I think they would do something similar. They'd have a separate event, have like a sort of like podcast like thing where a panel talks about, hey, what were the decisions here, the choices that were made, or how they got to the second incarnation of the ROG Ally, right? And so I think that would be more realistic from my perspective as to what they would do here, because you really want to focus on the changes here, right? This is like them trying to change what it's like to be on a Windows type handheld device. So you want to kind of focus on that and give the customer sort of the reason why they should adopt this, right? So, I think that's kind of its own little thing. If it's in the middle of a games showcase, you would end up saying, well, hey, I'm here just to watch the games, right? I don't want to see this hardware stuff for 30 minutes, right? I don't care about that. And that's kind of my hesitation to say it would be part of any of the showcases. Again, if it's just like a Rev 2, hey, we're announcing the third version of this, and it's the same thing, right? It's just more powerful. Yeah, have fun, right? Okay, fine. But this is a change in the way it works, right? So yeah, I think they'll want to focus on that. At least they should. They better, because otherwise that would be just horrible to not actually tell people why this is better, right? What you've done to try to make it better. I hope it's better, right? So I think it needs to be its own dedicated thing. And I don't know when Asus might do this. I think there's Computex coming up. Maybe they do it there. There is a build, right? Microsoft build. I think that's also potentially a possibility. I don't know. There are options where they could do this within this month. Maybe it'll be next month. I don't know, but I think it's still separate. I don't know if they want to have things available for that sort of play days time frame, right? So maybe they have something available somewhere for people to look at if Asus wants to do that while they're all in LA. That's a possibility, but at least I think the announcement of this thing, the background of it needs to be its own thing. I think it needs to be its own. It needs to breathe on its own, right? So partner showcase, I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe they just folded it into June showcase. We'll see. But I don't know what happened with that. There definitely should have been something, but yeah, I don't agree. I agree with you. I don't think they should do it now. It's too close.
It's too close.
June.
Yeah.
So there's just no point. You just wait it out. Unless there's absolutely some contractual requirement that says you have to do it before, I would just wait it out and put it in June showcase. Or on Keeley stage. There's always Keeley stage.
Keeley, yeah. I mean, Keeley needs some stuff, so maybe
now you're taking my thunder. There you go. That was going to be my answer.
Well, let's get your thoughts on it. Do you think that this could be something that Microsoft, again, they're probably cutting costs here, there, and everywhere. Maybe they use Keeley's event, we've we've all talked about this. Why does Xbox keep giving Keighley stuff? But maybe this is one of those situations where they're like, well, instead of a partner event, that the big draw would have been Final Fantasy VII Remake announced potentially for the fall of this year, right? Game Pass, I don't know so much, but maybe they use Keighley instead of Keighley using them. What are your thoughts on that, man?
Honestly, I think that you get a highlight sizzle reel of an announcement with a deep dive to come shortly after. Like we're gonna do X, Y, and Z. Like you'll first see this at the Keyleys, but you'll see it in highlighted format with, hey, next week, this date. And that's where, to Hargeet's point, that's where you'll get the deep dive and the this is what we've done, and let's sit on the couch and give you the format. But and this is not any tea spill. This is just me honestly thinking that you have this Prime gaming event that's there, and all these potential customers primed for that. It is very true that it's not the venue to go speeds and feeds and start digging into the UI elements or whatnot. But this would be great to give them the sizzle reel, the top level, the awesome, someone using it, like give us hints of what the UI looks like. Hey, it's not just an Ally X anymore. This is the next level. Hey, tune back in June 30th when we'll sit down and break it open and really give you a deep dive, right? I honestly think that is the way you market that, the way you show that off. And you asked the question, why not GDC? I feel like maybe it's because at that time Microsoft didn't have their offerings ready, right? This hardware is this hardware. Look at it. It looks like a sort of ROG Ally, right? With a bit of other stylings there. What to me, and this is selfish, I'll be honest, what to me makes this thing special is what Microsoft will run on it. Not just the hardware. That hardware you can show it any day with Armory Crate running on it. We already know what that looks like.
Right.
I think the magic here is what makes this different than
Do you think this is a Windows 11 machine?
Oh yeah, 100%. This is like, I don't think this is the ultimate form, that magical like Microsoft first party handheld. That's not this. I don't think. No, this is not. Partner device, right? So it will still play. You'll still be able to install Epic. You'll still be able to install, all the other stores that you want to install. But I do feel like, looking at what they're offering here, it's basically an ROG Ally, but the partnership is closer. Asus has done a bit more and put an Xbox logo on it, right? I think Microsoft will do more and won't just give you what you've seen, right? I don't think that this is Windows 12, but what you'll see here, I think the UI will be different. I think what they put on here will be like interesting and different. This to me, I think, will be the answer we've been looking for, and the competition we've been looking for, compared to, say, something like Valve and their big picture mode and all of that. I think this is their half step to the ultimate form, which will be their first party thing, right? So that's why I'm so excited about what they put on it, because the hardware is the hardware. It looks great, but there's a dime a dozen. They all wear the same clothes. They all have X amount of RAM, X amount of storage. They all have an AMD variant of a GPU CPU combination, SoC. They all do. They all wear it. The question is, what's that software look like? That's the differentiating factor.
Great points. Again, folks, great conversation all around. Hopefully you enjoyed the conversation enough to hit the like button. Of course, we are officially 89 subscribers away from 16K, and we're close, folks. And you can help us get there. We have 543 or 548. I should actually say 547 because they just banned somebody that was coming into the chat to be a bit of a D. So no, he or she will no longer be a D, because that's not what we do here. We're supposed to have fun, and I can't have people showing up into the chat to incite a riot. I'm not going to stand for it. So if you're going to be a D, you're going to get banned. Sorry. But we have Game Shark here. He's been a channel member, ladies and gentlemen, for 9 months. Game Shark goes on to say, and this is scandalous, folks. He says, why ask Kay Asante or Hargeet for tech opinions when we've got the batch? I am not going to follow it up with a response other than yikes. So there's that. Game Shark, you scandalous B. We love you, brother. Thank you so much for the support and the laugh. Absolutely. We have a super chat here from Do You K Now, the Broke Boy Insider. And this actually is great information. He says the article from The Verge says that starting May 20th, there is a show called Computex, and it's at this show where Asus or Asus, depending on what you say, normally announces new products. That's a phenomenal point. And actually, I'm surprised no one stole that from you. Good on you, Will. Appreciate the generosity.
Oh, he did mention Computex. He mentioned Computex, yeah.
So then I missed that because then technically he did steal it. But listen, Will's used to that. He's used to being he should file copyright infringement of some sorts. Will, appreciate the generosity, brother. Look, ladies and gentlemen, a great show, 2 topics, and lots to get excited about. And again, if you just take a step back for gaming and you kind of remove the tariffs conversation, this has been one hell of a week already. We're only on Wednesday. You got Gears of War Reloaded, and that's going to be free for all Xbox gamers who own the Ultimate Edition of Gears of War, which is amazing, right? Going into Game Pass, it is going to be another version, a banger or even bigger banger version of the original, and that's awesome. Tuesday, we got the Grand Theft Auto trailer, which looked freaking amazing. And of course, today the FTC loses, and we got the leaked images from the FCC regarding the handheld. I mean, it's just been one news bomb after another. Tomorrow at 12 p.m., I'm having both Crispy Bomb and Shadows, who's a huge streamer when it comes to Gears, to discuss Gears of War Reloaded and the rumor that is currently floating around that Gears of War 2 Reloaded and 3 Reloaded will be releasing, though we don't know if it's true or when it is, but those are getting the same treatment according to the rumors that are flowing around. And it makes sense to release those in the same way because 2 is epic and 3 is just emotional. So yeah, I would love to see 2 and 3 get the same Reloaded treatment, and I believe that is going to happen. But let's get out of here, and we'll start first with Hargi Chani. Brother, let's sell the brand of the YouTube channel, which celebrated a couple of weeks ago that you finally hit 1K. You're partnered, or at least you should be partnered. I don't know whether you got the email from YouTube. Obviously, your claim to fame is 80,000+ views on the Gears of War E-Day reveal, which we were at. And again, I'm expecting some big reveals at this year's showcase. Sell the brand of where people can subscribe to your YouTube channel, but more importantly, not follow you on social media, but potentially buy your book that you released last year called Emergence. Sell the brand, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. So my book, if you want to check it out, it's a Mass Effect-like story. If you like Mass Effect, you might like the story. Emergence, shop.chani.us. Check it out. If you want to subscribe to my channel, it's Hargi Chani 1 on YouTube. Check that out. And yeah, as far as like the continuing things for podcasts, this weekend is going to be spotty. I probably won't be on any of them. I think C-Money and Doodle are also going to PAX East. So I think the Friday.
Yeah, they'll be there. Yep.
So yeah, so I think we're not doing night shift. I am most likely not going to be able to do. Well, we're not doing the one on Saturday with Fonz because he's also not available. So both of us will be out. And then I'm not sure with Web Dave. I might be back. We'll see. But it's possible that I'll be skipping that one as well. So I will catch you guys next week with Boom on Wednesday because I think everything else is going to kind of get slipped because of PAX East. But yeah, we'll see what's at PAX East. I'm sure we'll be sending out, putting up content, sending things out for people to check out as we check it out. So I'll definitely be capturing some content, and I'll try to put that up on my channel. And then maybe we'll try to do an impromptu podcast or something with the content creators that are out there. We'll see what we can pull off. But yeah, so look forward to some of that. And then again, let's just reiterate, of course, there's still the watch party. If you want to, try to get in, go ahead to communityfanfest.com, enter, and we'll see if we can get you in. So enjoy.
Yeah, indeed. It's going
Otherwise,
to
hopefully it'll be a fun showcase anyways, but
I think it's going to be great. And again, folks, if you can get to LA, I got tickets for IGN Live. Last year we went, and Kay Asante and a bunch of us had a really good time. Like, it was old school E3. We had a blast. And again, yeah, I have my problems with IGN with some of their staffers, but I got to give credit where credit was due. The event was fun. So we will be going back. We'll be walking around. They had a whole arcade section. I believe it's going to be a better event this year, but we will be there. I'll be in LA Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And listen, if you're going to be in the area, DM me, let me know. We can meet and greet and have a good time, chat it up a bit. But Kay Asante, sell the brand, brother, of the Gaming Circle podcast. Is there going to be one this year live from the PAX East, or
we don't
you guys
know.
are doing something? We don't know.
We don't know.
Sell the brand, brother.
Yeah, we're going to be fluid this week, right? We did a show last week. We're going to be a little fluid this week because, as Hargeet has said, we're flying out. We're heading to PAX East. I actually, it is now 8:30 my time. In the next 2 hours, I must finish packing and go to sleep so I can be up at 4 a.m. to take my Uber. So yeah, it's going down. But yeah, the GCP usually, Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This week, probably you won't catch a GCP episode on Saturday morning. But if you keep locked on the channel, keep it locked on the socials, you'll probably see us sharing some of the interesting and fun stuff we come across at PAX. I've already have an inbox full of emails of people going, "Hey, you're going to PAX? How about you come and check out my game?" So it's gonna be awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here. Thank you so much for tuning in, checking out the show. We super appreciate all of the likes, the shares, the subs, and of course, a big thank you to all of the super chats that popped in here. Let me just make sure that I am up to date on all of them. Oh, we have actually one that popped in late. Jose Bajaras drops a very generous $5 super chat and says the device is still going to have an Armory Crate button. I don't expect it to have an Xbox big screen or big picture mode. I don't know. I mean, it's we will see. We will certainly see on what that looks like. But again, thank you so much, brother, for the super chat. Thank you so much for being here. And of course, a big thank you once again to all of the super chats, all of the channel memberships that come in that support the channel. And a big thank you to you for tuning in on a Wednesday evening, hanging out with us, chatting it up. Apologies that the knucklehead in the chat thought he was more important than everyone here. I don't like that kind of behavior. We kind of let people go for a while. And then, of course, the old, you give them enough rope, they hang themselves. I can't have people come here to be disruptive, because this is a fun chat. This is a very family-oriented, brotherhood, sisterhood kind of a chat, and I want to keep it that way. So when someone acts out, we got to ban them. I'm sorry. I don't like normally doing that, but when you're an a-hole, you got to go. But with all of that said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day, ladies and gentlemen, it'll be important to you, and that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, "Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day." So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends.
You just